Ciaran Delaney from meetingbookers.com again, and Ciaran was actually the first webinar in Nordic Revenue Forum back in 2018. At that time, it was because of quite poor connections between Finland and Ireland, but now we have a completely other reason that we're doing this online. But last time it was a success, and we got a really good feedback from your presentation, which is the reason that I wanted to invite you back to share your experience with us.
Sure, it's great to join you again today. Delighted to share our experience over the last couple of months. So, yeah, so Hannah, I suppose I can just start off by giving a bit of an introduction to myself and to meetingsbooker.com. So meetingsbooker.com is a global platform that allows people to search and book hotels, co-working spaces, venues around the world. It can be used for small meetings, but also for bigger conventions and events, and also for group accommodation as well. Just make sure you see the screen okay. That's better. So yeah, so I think what we've seen over the last couple of months with the outbreak of COVID-19 is that there's been a huge change in the industry. Not only has, have bookings been affected across our space, but also I think fundamentally, the meeting customer for hotels and venues has changed. And I think that's the biggest thing for us all to focus on. I think the key to any successful, sales campaign or marketing campaign is always understanding your customers' needs, and that's changed a lot. We have obviously different types of customers. We work with on the demand side, we work with a lot of major organizations, major global corporations that use our platform to allow their employees to book spaces and also to track their expenditure for meetings and events, particularly in the simple meetings area. So their needs have changed, which I'll discuss. We also work with global agencies who actually use our technology to power their meeting reservations. So a good example is American Express GBT, who we partner with in Finland and the Nordics, as well as many other markets as well. So they're using our technology for their clients, and it's been interesting to see how that's developed. And we also work directly with hotels and venues to actually power bookings on your websites, on hotel websites. And again, that's changed as well. But all those three, I suppose, channels, if you like, have a common goal, and that's to help somebody find a great place to meet. And that end user, I think, has has shifted their needs now. So before COVID, we all knew the status quo. We all knew how what people wanted. They wanted good spaces, natural daylight, obviously good pricing, and flexibility, etc. Whereas now we're just seeing that all change. And I think one of the biggest things that I think we need to focus on, first of all, is just around safety. So, we are getting bookings on Meetings Booker. It's actually gradually growing now since June, July, and August. It's gradually becoming, each month, the level of bookings are growing. And I think one of the key drivers for that is really the safety protocols we've built into the platform itself. So, safety is something that everyone is interested in now. So if you have a venue and if you've put together your kind of COVID clean policies, if you put together policies around social distancing, around, hygiene, hand sanitation, face masks. So if you have policies in place, that's the first step. And if you don't, you really need to put that together in a coherent way for your customers, because today's meeting planners have the safety of the attendees as one of the key needs when they're looking for venues. So within Meetings Booker, we allow venues to load your policies and present them on your profile on meetingsbooker.com. We've also built a new tool whereby our clients can search based on social distancing between attendees. And we've seen both those new initiatives have proven extremely popular. Like 90% of the bookings we're getting now, the attendees are searching based on increased social distancing between attendees. So I think that's something to focus on. So if I was a hotel manager in Finland, I would have my Meet Safe policy in place, and I'd also promote it effectively. I'd add it to your profile on Meetings Booker. I'd share it with your corporate clients. I'd share it with your agency partners. I'd include it on all your proposals. So when you're getting a proposal, sending proposals, include that information in it. Because there's one thing creating the policies, then there's another thing effectively promoting them. So yeah, so that works. That helps. That'll help you increase your market share in these difficult times. So that's certainly something I think we've all learned, and we're seeing that it's very, very effective in helping to drive revenue.
Can I ask something about that safety?
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of differences or variation in on how companies are communicating between the countries on those safety issues, or is it kind of a same pattern, or?
Yeah, like we work with all the major hotel groups, so we're sort of adding their policies in many cases via API. Hyatt Hotels is a good example. So I think in some cases, global chains have a centralized standard, which is helpful to us because we can load them via API. But then more independent chains and unique types of venues obviously have their own standards that they've implemented. So there is variation, Hannah. I think the variation comes from probably the local, the government policies in each market, which do fluctuate. So we designed our system to be quite flexible and to allow people to load the relevant policies in their market. So there are variations. I'd say 70% of it is consistent across the globe. But there are some variations around what local governments are instructing the hotels and venues to implement, and we obviously incorporate that within Meetings Booker. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So and another area that's really developing rapidly is around hybrid meetings. This is the concept where there's a meeting taking place. It could be 20 people in a venue in Helsinki or any city around the world, but actually there's another 100 people connecting virtually. So there's actually a hybrid of attendees, virtual and face-to-face at the venue. So this really is a new. Well, it's not new. It was there before COVID, but it's certainly scaled since COVID. And we've seen that on our platform and when we're talking to our clients. So we have a registration system that our clients can use when they're organizing their meetings and events that has their own event page and agenda and speakers. That now incorporates a virtual attendees as well as face-to-face, which is something that is, has really responded well with our partners and clients. So, and that's something that venues need to think about. So if people organizing meetings are having more hybrid meetings, are you addressing that? And have you got any unique capabilities in this area that helps differentiate you from your competitors? It might be that you have all those facilities for hybrid meetings, but you just need to actually incorporate them within your offering. So, the typical examples are, good AV, right? Good AV equipment, very good Wi-Fi, on-site audio, visual, and IT technicians, for example. So, there are things that most venues offer, but maybe it's time to look at them again and package them when you're sending out proposals. and maybe it's time to improve them. You know, internet is a big factor. You know, the internet connection has to be strong, has to be reliable. It could be 100 of the clients' best customers around the world dialing in to see their latest new product innovation. That's important. So all of a sudden, your Wi-Fi and your audiovisual is becoming a key factor in then choosing your hotel or venue for that meeting. So you better be sure that you're nailing it when you're responding to those inquiries, because that's now your customers need, you know, a key one compared to pre-COVID. We're also seeing smaller meetings reemerge, and this is a common you know, trend across the industry. Larger conferences and events, you know, with 500 people, 1,000 people, they've all been cancelled for next year. They're all going to be pushed out, whereas smaller meetings and events are re-emerging already, whether it's a hybrid meeting or a smaller meeting itself. So this area is a growth area for your hotels. So, you know, you should look at your product for smaller meetings, look at your meeting rooms themselves. You know, have you got photography of those rooms? You know, are there any changes you need to make in relation to those rooms? Do you have larger rooms that can be subdivided? If so, you know, maybe subdivide them, take imagery of those rooms, make sure those capacities are clear for your clients as well. So yeah, smaller meetings, how you sell smaller meetings is important. You know, the trend we're seeing is that these are re-emerging. The lead time is getting shorter. 50% of the small meetings that are being sold on meetingsbooker.com have a lead time of within 7 days. The trend for the average number of attendees is like 9 attendees, between probably 7 and 9 attendees now. 20% of these bookings are hourly, so people are actually booking them just for 2 or 3 hours. So that's a whole new opportunity for hotels. And what we do is we help hotels and venues to sell those spaces online. And I think the benefit of that in today's environment is that it's low touch. So your events team don't have to send 15 emails backwards and forwards for a meeting for 10 people. And in turn, your clients don't have to do that as well, right? Your clients don't have to send 10 emails. So they can just search and book on your website or on meetingsbooker.com. And I suppose that's been a very interesting kind of shift that's accelerated over the course of COVID. So I'll touch upon that a bit later as well, Hannah, just about how we're seeing that, you know, digitalization across the board is really scaling now. I think that, you know,
it's very interesting because it's been kind of waiting for the bookers to find this, that you can actually book meetings online.
Yeah, and I think if we step out of our world of meetings and also just think of the you know, what's happening, like digitalization is scaling across every sector now. One great example is grocery shopping, you know, and even doctor appointments and doctor interaction. But grocery, you know, we're booking our grocery online using an app. We're doing it at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday night for the groceries to arrive the next day. So that behavior is, you know, becoming more dominant now, that we want easy digital solutions. And that's happening for meetings and events. And you're right, it has accelerated it. And it's that use case, you know, I've got a key presentation that I want to do, you know, on Wednesday, and it's Monday morning, and I'm looking for a venue in Helsinki or in London or New York that I want to use for that meeting, whether it's a virtual meeting or whether it's a team meeting or a client meeting. That's the use case, right? And you don't want to spend time on that. You don't want to have to swap 10 emails with a venue, asking them for pictures, asking them for pricing, getting phone calls to make payments. You just want to search, pop in your credit card and transact online and get it done.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, smaller meetings, you know, obviously for hotels, you know, they're not high value. You know, everyone wants the bigger events, wants that 100-person residential conference, but equally smaller meetings, if you can make them more efficient in how you're handling them and sell them online and increase the volume, becomes a good way to return and start building your meetings business back up again. So another area, Hannah, I don't know what it's like in Finland, but we're seeing remote working as a huge trend emerging in all the markets that we're active in. Is that something that's reemerged, and is it happening a lot in Finland as well?
Absolutely. They even the government was recommending for those who can work remotely to do that until, I think it was until end of August or end of July.
Yeah.
And then many large organizations, they decided to continue it, even if they could have people come to the office, but because they have perhaps work that can be done remotely. So still encouraging people to stay home.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think it's what we're seeing really is that the meetings sector is converging with the workplace. So, you know, there's people who have been working from home for 6 months, right? And, you know, I think at the start, we all embraced it. Obviously, it was a challenge, but, you know, but as time has developed, it's been interesting to see the rhetoric and the discussion around working from home sort of change to one that shows that it's productive, but also there are gaps, and that one of those gaps is just the personal connection with your colleagues and your clients, and the ability to learn and share information from those connections. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing more and more of our enterprise clients now looking to use Meetings Booker to help their remote workers connect and to meet in person.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, so it's a new area, and it's an opportunity for us, for meetingsbooker.com, but it's an opportunity for hotels and venues, because we're seeing a lot of new kind of trends develop. For example, we're starting to see more and more bookings outside of city center locations, in certain cities. So London is a good example. We're getting a lot of bookings now on the kind of, you know, hub cities around London, because more and more people are working from home. So if they had a 1 hour commute into London City, and if they need to meet their colleagues, they're actually meeting in Oxford or meeting in those hub cities around the main city. And also, I think the global corporations who are our clients, who use Meetings Booker, in many cases, you know, they're now looking at their office space, and wondering, you know, do we need that extra office? Do we need, you know, if people are going to work remotely, then actually do we need as much office space? I don't know if you heard in Finland, but like Google have their EMEA headquarters in Dublin in Ireland, and they recently cancelled a new lease on a new building, a massive new building that they were, you know, due to occupy. So they've delayed that. They've cancelled that now because, you know, majority of their workforce are working remotely. So It's just interesting. You know, it's interesting to see that, and I think that's going to develop into a huge opportunity for hotels and venues, as long as they package their products effectively. Probably still early, I think, in the evolution of that opportunity, but in the coming months, we're going to see, you know, people being at home, working from home, you know, juggling their kids, their family, having not, you know, potentially connected with their team leaders, their colleagues, etc. And that's going to have to change. People will need to connect, because business is about connections, and learning is about connections, and you know, project management and creativity is developed, you know, when we meet people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think hotels should look at this, and they should think about, okay, how do we package our hotel effectively for this? I think this change has already happened over the last number of years, gradually. Like if you look at Citizen M, we work very closely with, you know, when you walk into a Citizen M hotel, it's not like a hotel. It's like a work environment. It's like a co-working space. There's a cafe, there's people on laptops, there's a lobby area, there's like plenty of seating, there's free Wi-Fi, there's, you know, so it's actually a place you pop into and work even without going to your room.
Yeah.
And I think that's the environment. That's what's going to develop, and it could be that you're actually going to get customers wanting to book those spaces.
And we saw here actually Scandic was the first chain to that hit my feed anyway, was that they have this co-working space and meeting rooms per hour.
Yeah.
Offering now, which wasn't promoted that way before, so it's been a change.
Yeah, and also hotels are experimenting with their accommodation as well. Accor announced that they're starting to sell bedrooms as private workspaces. And that's something that we're doing within our technology that can be used on hotel websites. So it's something to look at. If I was a hotel, I'd look at it and certainly look at the demand locally, and monitor it as well, because you might have some inquiries now, but they might grow, because again, we're all getting used to this new environment, and the workplace and meetings are certainly converging. So the other thing I think is very important, and we're seeing this now, is that demand is not zero, right? We get bookings every day on Meetings Booker in different markets. We also have a lot of RFP inquiries coming in for next year. So clients sending an RFP for meetings and events for next year. And something we're seeing is that hotels and venues are not as good at responding as they used to be, particularly for RFPs. Obviously, for online bookings, it's transacted online, which is the beauty of that solution. But for RFPs now, the response time is slower. Many hotels don't respond unless we send reminders. So it's becoming, something that I think everyone needs to be very careful of, because, a reputation takes years to create and minutes to lose. So if we're experiencing delays, then everyone else is going to be experiencing delays as well when asking for proposals from your hotel. And then they're going to start associating you with being slow at responding. And, if your competing hotel nearby is faster, they're going to win the business. Now, we understand why this is happening. Listen, there's, staff have been reduced, etc. There's people on furlough, but you also just need to get organized. There's less volume of RFPs. So I think there's still opportunity with reduced teams to still respond. And I just would sound that warning to be careful not to reduce, operations so much that it's affecting your ability to respond to business as well. Right. Because there are opportunities there. There are clients looking for quotations for next year, and there are small meetings being booked now. So I don't know, do you feel that's happening in Finland as well, or?
Well, actually, in fact, I was just, I heard that there are several companies that have faced that issue, that they've been waiting for a very long time for an offer. So I was just thinking about this today, that how can it be that you don't have the contingency and somebody needs to respond to these inquiries?
Yeah.
But it's very hard. You have to kind of think what's up and running, and then some businesses have closed altogether for now, but then obviously somebody needs to have a look at these kind of back office functions as well.
Yeah,
especially if they plan to open.
Yeah, I think it's digitalization. It's about looking at your meetings operation and saying, we need to digitalize this. We need to use technologies that will, automate selling smaller meetings, but also even RFPs, even sending an RFP to a client. We're now working with hotels to use our technology to help drive efficiencies around RFP bookings, having, a workflow of emails that are sent to the client, giving the client the opportunity to log in and view more information about the hotel. So all those things help to kind of drive more efficiencies. And if you've got a digital first approach to meetings and events as a hotel, you need less people, right? So, but so basically you can still effectively manage your operations and your costs by not punishing the client, by still giving the client a fast solution, but also keeping it efficient, so which helps you to, if you move potentially your events, people can deal with weddings, they can deal with other areas of your business as well, because multitasking is something that hotels have gotten used to with COVID. So it's not about reducing your employees, it's more about where do we drive more efficiency so that our customers are happy and we're using our workforce effectively. So digitalization is the way to approach that.
I think do you think it goes hand in hand where sometimes hotels take each meeting case kind of case by case, and there's not like a fixed pricing or something? So then if you have some people on furlough who used to make the decision on pricing, for example, then you can't respond because you don't have that person available. And then this kind of contingency hasn't been thought through when these furloughs are given, or perhaps it's just a combination of things.
No, you're right. I think that's a factor. But also just the level of manual intervention, Hannah, that's applied, like if a hotel sits down and looks at an inquiry for a 100-person meeting with 100 bedrooms, for example, and how much time they spend on that, literally writing emails and typing emails to the client and typing a proposal, and it's all very manual. So I think the pricing is a good point, having that set and agreed so that people don't have to slow down making decisions on it, but also having an online solution whereby the inquiry is received, you type in your pricing, you hit send.
Absolutely.
And behind the scenes, your client gets an email and they have a login, they have a proposal in a PDF that looks beautiful, that's automatically created. And also, more importantly, 2 days later, they get another email asking them, have they got any questions? That's automatically sent, right? So you're removing the manual effort that hotels are struggling with now with meetings and events, where they're just manually typing emails to clients with proposals, forgetting to respond, all that kind of automation helps just to make it a lot easier. So what we do, like with Meetings Booker, for anyone listening, we're, hotels and venues can join meetingsbooker.com for free around the world. We're a global marketplace. We've multi-channel opportunities. We've global corporates that use our platform to book their meetings and events. We're very, very active in the Nordics. We've a lot of corporate clients going live. We have a very productive partnership with American Express, GBT, and a lot of their corporate clients are using our platform to book their group accommodation as well as meetings and events. So it's not just, in many cases, it's group accommodation only. It can be 10 people for 10 days in a local hotel near their offices, right? So in many cases, actually, it's group accommodation that they're booking, and with not necessarily always with a meeting. So and it gives the venue the opportunity to scale bookings. There's instant bookings, there's RFPs. It's all about conversion. I've touched on it today. Automatic emails to the client to ask them to make a decision. With RFPs, the client has to input their budget for the meeting. With RFPs, they're sent to an average of 4 venues. So it's all about trying to drive conversion, whether it's online bookings or RFPs, and also efficiencies again. So on Meetings Booker, it's easy to join. If anyone's listening who hasn't joined, I think we work with all the major hotel groups around the world already. So, Accor, you mentioned Scandic, IHG, Hilton. But so you can search on meetingsbooker.com for your location, see if you're listed. If you're not, go into the top right-hand corner and you can click to join for free. We also work with hotels in relation to their own websites. So you can easily add our white label solution of Meetings Booker designed around your branding to allow your customers to click onto your website, and instead of your customers having to send an inquiry form or just get an email address, they can actually search and they can book your smaller meeting rooms online and pay with their credit card. So you literally get a confirmed booking with no input needed. Even payment is automated. And they can also send an RFP to you. So they can request a proposal for a bigger meeting or a group accommodation. And you can then use the white label platform to respond in minutes, again, driving even more efficiencies. So this we've seen this the need for this grow, Hannah, during COVID. We've never been as busy in relation to working with hotel groups for technology on their own websites.
It's really interesting that it took COVID to kind of start converting this.
Yeah, I think
you thought that it was kind of, but I think it's very difficult to change habits unless something forces you to. So it's been growing, of course, all the time over the past years, but still, that this was the one that pushed it.
100%, yeah. Like every day there's new hotels now adding this to their website on Meetings Booker, and a lot of them are actually trialing selling their accommodation for workspaces using this system.
Okay.
So when someone searches, they can search for 10 people and they can see all your small meeting rooms, but also some of the accommodation options as well. So, you know, and they're able to book that for 5 days at whatever rate the hotel wants to charge. So it's a good tool if any of the hotels are thinking about that area of trying to sell accommodation as workspaces. It's an easy way to trial it and see if there's demand in your market for that by including it within this system.
Great.
Yeah. So so I don't know if there's any questions from.
Yeah, we had a few no-shows today as well. I think it's been the trend lately for various reasons, but we have a few attendees here. If you would have any questions to Ciaran, practical or about anything related to these meetings.
Thank you. No questions from me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, listen, it's been good, Hannah, to have a catch up and, you know, discuss the trends we're seeing and what's happening. So yeah, I think in summary, you know, there's still opportunities, there's still demand in the market. Obviously, it's lower than normal, and I think that it's a good time to embrace new ways of selling meeting space. And let's put the new customer needs first. You know, let's look at what they're looking for in safety and hybrid meetings and. You know, the opportunities as well, because I think it's time to look at opportunities, not just think of the past, but think of the future and the opportunities around remote working as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's thank you so much for this, and it's so interesting that you had a solution for many of the things that I've heard in discussions over here, and then at the same time, these are not unique to Finland or to Nordics. It's the same for all of the countries. So
yeah.
It's absolutely great to see that, and especially this focus on safety and looking for kind of social distancing space. I think that was one of the interesting trends for this time.
Great. And well, listen, great talking to you again.
You too. And I shall finish the recording now. And thank you very much for our attendees. I hope you had you got some nice information from here. Also, if you don't have Ciaran's details, you can find obviously meetingsbooker.com and find the details over there, or I'm happy to forward Ciaran's details as well.
Great. Thanks again, Hannah.
For further questions.